What's up, guys? Today we are working on my 74 Nova, Operation Nova. Going to be installing a TCI Transmission Pressure Gauge. So this is pretty much the kit right here. Simple diagram and instructions. Nothing really complex. Comes with all the adapters that you'll need, as well as the lights, wiring, the nylon tube, and even a couple of rubber grommets. It's a really nice kit. Only costs like, I think something like $75 American. Nothing crazy. So to install one of these on a TH350, a turbo 350, we'll be looking up inside of here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get this to see it or not. There, that first bung you see there beside that servo, that is the mainline pressure port, and that is where you have to remove the bung and install the adapter fitting for the pressure gauge. So to do that, you need a socket, 7/16 on 1/4" drive is what this is. This is actually a pass-through set from Gear Wrench. Makes it a little easy to get in there with a flex head, and they're often not too tight. Not this, just this piece going into the transmission where the bung would be. As you can see, that is that piece right there. It says to use the Teflon sealing tape. You'll have to put the line inside of here, and there's a furrow. If I can take that off. There. So this compression fitting style, pretty easy to do, pretty hard to mess up. Don't want to lose it. And then you'll use a grommet where it passes through the firewall or the floor, wherever you decide to put it. Another furrow and compression fitting. This side will be the one that goes to the back of the gauge at the bottom. Alright, so on the inside of the car, I chose to drill the hole and use the small grommet, so I just used about a 3/8 drill bit. Use what matches the diameter of the grommet that you're using. Toss that nylon line through that hole there, and I chose the transmission tunnel beside this floor vent, as it's a very safe spot for the line to be without getting damaged by anyone's feet down here, as this is, you know, a 6-seater car. I did choose to avoid putting another hole in the firewall. Don't really want to have too much opportunity for water to run down the firewall on the inside of the engine bay and leak water down in here, as this line here does not exactly match the inside diameter of the grommet. There is some wiggle room. So I chose to put it here because this is actually a really clean spot on the underside of the vehicle, as the transmission is in the way of any debris coming up through, and it's a very safe spot for the line to be run. Alright, so once you've removed the bung from the pressure port, looks like this, little 7/16 set on it. Once you've removed that from the pressure port, you will have most likely some transmission fluid leaking out of there. Don't be alarmed, that's a good thing. Definitely want some fluid coming out from the pressure port. That way you know it actually isn't clogged or have any debris in the way. So you also, once you've passed that line through the hole above the transmission tunnel, way up there, you want to be able to pull it down. This is nylon line. You definitely don't want to kink it. You want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. Alright, so you can see the order. You put the compression nut on first, and then you put the furl in line, and then with the fitting up in place. Sorry guys, this light's an LED, so it's flickering. So there's that brass fitting is up in there, if you can see it. It is still dripping transmission fluid. So you want to get the line pushed into that and then tighten up the compression nut. Okay, so after you get that line on there, you want to make sure you're off all the leaking transmission fluid. You can see it nice, tight up in there. No leaks, no drips, no fluid sitting around. That way you can test for leaks afterwards. So make sure you have a nice dry spot on the ground below. Lay some paper towel down, some cardboard, whatever you have. Just lay it down. You can see if there's any leaks coming out of there. You definitely don't want any leaks coming out of there. And then your next step is to pull the slack up through the car and get it back to where you're going to have your gauge mounted. Alright, so you've got your fluid pressure line up into the car. There's fluid, there's no leaks on the bottom, everything's tightened up down there. Now what? You want to snip off the excess. I always recommend leaving it long in case you want to change your mounting position from under dash to top of dash to wherever else. That way you don't have to fuss around with fighting another furl and fitting and finding this line again. So snip it long, and then you need your adapter for the back of the gauge. So unscrew the adapter. Alright, so the adapter and the furl. So you take the nut side first. You want to run the nut side. That started on there. Just shove it down some. Alright, so after you've gotten the 1/2 inch adapter tightened down, you want to get the line in there. You'll feel it bottom out. Make sure the furls push down and start to thread this down as well. And this one is just a 3/8, and I'll have to use 2 hands to tighten these up. Alright, and that is tight. You will feel the compression fitting stop when it is bottomed out and compressed on the nylon line all the way. So don't try and over tighten it. You will feel it stop. It'll be snug and then it will come to a pretty firm stop. So that's when you stop tightening a compression fitting. Now we can fire it up and make sure we have transmission pressure, make sure the gauge is working and no leaks. Alright, before starting and checking pressure, you want to make sure your transmission fluid is not too low. You want to make sure you still see it on the dipstick. I know you can't check the transmission fluid level unless it's running, for most vehicles that is, but you definitely want to make sure you are not low on transmission fluid. You want to know you didn't lose too much when you pulled out that pressure port. It's best to do this operation when the engine and transmission are stone cold, you know, haven't ran for the day, so you don't lose as much fluid and you're not burning up anything down there. So we are going to crank this. Just going to drag this up over here. We're going to see what kind of pressure we get as we crank. Key out of the way. So instantly we have pressure in park, and it is responding to throttle. As you can see, there is no fluid dripping down on the paper towel, and no fluid dripping off the transmission, which is a good sign.